Hello, welcome back to the channel. So, I'm not going to mess about on this episode. So this is episode 12, episode 10 was the same as this, different, same make and model, Kodak Printomatic. So this is a digital insta print camera, so it prints, takes a picture, there's no screen or anything like that, it's just got a viewfinder here. So on episode 10 we had another one of these with a button stuck in. So you've got two buttons, two inputs, you've got the power and then you've got the exposure, the capture button. So this one here is stuck in just like the one in episode 10. So the same colour, very pretty colour, pink. So again, we're just going to crack on. You've seen in episode 10, we've took it apart, we tested it. This should be, I think, exactly the same. And we saw on episode 10 that the two of the legs at the front, although they were in the board, they weren't soldered. So I don't know if that's a manufacturer sort of quality control issue, or maybe they just don't put solder on those two front legs. No idea, but we'll my thought process, if it's the same, we're going to reuse the switch that's on the board and just have a quick and easy fix and make sure it's anchored to the board at the front.
Ideas are coming, things are happening here.
But anyway, let's crack on. I mean, should we just test it turns on first? So let's just see if it turns on. It should come up with white light. It does. I think it beeps as well when it's ready. Yeah, so it's beeped straight away. So that's ready to take a picture now. So we can't test it anymore now because we need the button to work to, you know, capture the photo, and then it will start printing as well. So we'll get the paper in there once the button's fixed. So we'll just switch it off for now. Right, that's switched off. So I've taken this apart before. On episode 11, the previous episode, that one was the, I guess it's the all the whistles and bells model of these cameras. So it had a touchscreen as well, along with the printer and whatnot. So they had 3 different PCBs in there. This has just got the one. So this is much more simpler device compared to that one I did in my previous video. But looking at it, it's got something stuck in the SD. It's a bit of, I don't know what it is, chrome or something, I don't know, in the SD card slot. There's some surface scratches. So if I do fix this one, I'll have to list it as used. Yeah, there's some stains there as well. So again, I think this all comes down to the user putting too much pressure. But again, I think it's also the design of the switch. They should have a board that is perpendicular with the button to the switch. At the moment, we've got the button on this plane, this axis, and then the switch is on this axis. So when you're pushing down, it's going to obviously take the switch off. It's going to put pressure on that switch, and then obviously lift it off the board. That's what's happening. But on the previous camera, it had a little board here for the power button and exposure button, and that was on the same plane as the switches, the buttons here. So that was much more durable way of doing it. Anyway, enough waffling.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Let's get this apart. And I need the deep screwdriver bit. Got some deep screws here, so I think it's just these 2 screws here come out. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, no, I'm hoping for just a quick, easy one. We took a bit of a loss on the previous video. And so I've got much more stuff to fix than just cameras. It's just these are the last bits on this job lot, unfortunately. So I'm getting a bit bored of these cameras as well now at this point. Right, this them removed. I think it just pops off now from memory. With a bit of persuasion, he says. Okay, so we're left with the board now. I have to completely remove it from the casing of the device, and I have to get the printer out of the way as well because it covers this part of the board. That's completely disconnected, and straight away you can tell if I lift it up close to the camera, this switch here for the exposure is completely lifted off. Hopefully that's focused for you, you guys can see that. I love it. You'll see it on the remote scope as well in a minute. Yeah, it's not held in place very well. So what I'm going to do is push that back in. So already it goes back down. Look, it's gone back down. I'm just going to fill these points here with solder and have those legs secured in place then. And then I'll do the same for this one. I don't know why they've not put any solder in these through holes here to anchor that switch in place. Because at the moment it's just relying on these back legs here to keep in place, which is a bit odd to me. Because you've got a lot of force acting against that switch over time. And that's just going to push it off the board. On the episode 10, I did change the switch, which, looking back now, I think it was a waste of time. I should just reuse the switch. We'll test the switch as well. I'm going to get it in place first so I can measure properly without it moving, and then we'll test the switch as well. But again, it should be pretty straightforward. I imagine it works, just because it's bent. So I'll probably solder this part of the switch as well to make sure that's all happy. Right, let's get this under microscope and do that. Right, okay guys, so you may notice that the switch is now completely off the board. So what happened, might you ask? Well, funnily enough, an event occurred called me being clumsy.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So I dropped the PCB and the switch came off, and it's also pulled off the trace on the board as well, which is great. You tit! But I believe it goes along here, so I can probably utilise that pad there to go to that switch. Yeah, very annoying. So this was going to be simple, and now I've made it a little bit more awkward. So we'll get this back in place. Right, I'm going to go with that. Let's put some flux in. I want to get the two front legs placed first, and then we'll do the back. So I get some flux in. I want the solder to wick its way into that hole, into that void. So I'm going to turn my iron up as high as possible, get as hot as possible. Put the fan on. Try and filter some of those fumes from the solenoid. We'll go under the board as well. We'll go on the back of the board as well. Once we get this in place, and we'll go through the hole completely. We'll get rid of that excess as well later on. Just want to get it somewhat in place first of all. Let's get some flux on the back of the switch. And just heat up these pads, make sure they're on. Maybe a bit of solder. Just want a bit of solder. Going to change the tip now. Let's get a bit more flux on there. That's better. Right, that's on there now, that one. Let's just give this one a little helping hand as well. A little bit of solder. There we go. Alright, happy with that. So I'm wondering if we could just bridge that with, we could use solder wick, couldn't we? I reckon we could just use solder wick to go across there as a bridge. Let's try that. So I have got this wire, I could use this instead. It's just awkward to solder. Right. Let's just get that tin, that pad. Oh, bit too much there. Oh, I'll just take it off the resistor. Is it on there still? That's capacitor. God, I'm making a right mess of this now, aren't I? Jesus. Right, bugger off. Get off that. Right, there we go. Right, let's try that again without doing what we just did. We don't want that bridged either. Right, there's solder on that. So let's get that wire attached. So this is the fun part. I think I need to sort of get rid of the enamel on there. Just going to coat the wire. Right, I think we can get this in place now. So let's try. Super awkward. And if I come from a different angle. I can't express to you guys how tiny this wire is. My hands are shaking as well. It's like I've got bloody Parkinson's.
Look at that.
Steady as a rock.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
Come on. Jesus. Right. Just going to leave it there. I want to put some, keep that in place while putting the iron on there. Just to make sure that's in place properly. Let that go in there. Right, that's in place. Now we can attach that to the pad, and that pad is then, oh, it just came off. Great. Fantastic. What I might do is wick away those pads there, re-tin them. Let's try that instead. So it's just been an easy job. Right, I just want to take that solder off those pads. It's so close to that capacitor as well. And we'll just tin that one pad with a tiny bit of solder. I don't want loads on there. Again, without trying to touch that tiny capacitor. I mean, this is tiny on there. Let's get some more flux on there again. not taken to the board, the solder. There we go. Alright, I've got blubber solder on that pad now. So where's that wire gone? Wire's here. Right, let's come at you again, shall we?
Let's try again.
You're going to stay in place this time, Mr. Wire. Get off the capacitor. Right. So that's sort of tapped in place. I'm going to try again while holding it down. So I don't want it to move. And then we'll put some more heat on it again. Might help with a bit of flux. Again. Right, let's keep you in place, you little pesky wire. Right, I think that's now solid. So now we can bring that wire to that leg, or that pad. So we'll put you over there for the meantime, and hopefully we can just tack that in place without that coming off. They're so close together, so I don't know how it's going to go. If the heat will travel up to that bit of solder and then melt the side that's already in place, let's just keep that like that, and then let's bring that to this leg. Just going to keep the heat on there. Gonna get some solder as well. Let's tin this soldering iron. I'm gonna clean it. Tin the soldering iron. There we go. I just saw that. So they should be connected now. I'm just going to put a bit more heat in there again just to make sure. Right, I believe that's a circuit now. I believe that's in place. It's a little bit wonky. We see how this looks when the board's in the chassis or the cover. See if that interferes with the button or not. Let's just test that now actually before we go any further with this. Okay, the buttons work. We're going to need to make sure this is in place on the back side of it. We'll just clean it up after as well, make sure the wire's cut down. But yeah, it's fine. The position is fine. So let's go back onto the microscope. Alright, let's just clean this up. I'm just going to wiggle that leftover wire, and that should just break off from the point where it's soldered. Hopefully. There you go. Right, that's off. So shall we test the switch to make sure it works? Continuity. Right, prem's working. So I think it was just these out two. So if I go from this side, if we go onto this here, right, so we know, right, switch is working. So from here to there, that is connected. Great. Right, that's fine. Let's get the board switched over. I'll make sure the 3 holes underneath are filled with solder, and then we'll clean the top part of the board as well. Let's do that. Just flip it over. Right, you can see both switches now. So both switches don't have solder on the back from factory, which is odd. So we'll fill in those voids so the switches hopefully don't get pushed out of place again. So let's get flux in place. So I'm just going to heat up the hole first, and then we'll get some solder in there. Hopefully that will wick into the hole. Yeah, it's going in the hole. There we go. That's that one. Let's do this one. Just heat it up a bit at a time. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. I've seemed to have redeemed myself after, you know, dropping the board and the switch coming off. That's good. Let's just check both switches before we go any further. So this one, make sure it works. Yep, and then this one. Right, great stuff. Should we put some conformal coating on there? Should we go all out on this? I mean, okay, we might as well. Let's go all out on this. Right, I'm going to put a blob on this, but it's such a big nozzle on this. There we go. Right, let's get my UV lamp on there. And hopefully that will harden in place. Just leave that on top. I'll bring this over so the camera can pick it up. So there's my UV lamp here. That's now in place. It is solid. So that's solder mask, UV curing liquid. So that will help aid keeping that in place. Let's put this back together, shall we? Let's do that. Right, it's all back together. I've got the paper in there. It has to eject the blue sheet first. So that's the start of the pack. And then I can take a picture then. So if I turn it on, it will probably start ejecting the blue paper straight away. So yeah, that's the printer going now. Let's get a picture. What should we take a picture of? Let's take a picture of my Mass Effect. Let's take a picture of the room so you guys can have a little look. Right. That noise was me taking the picture, and I think this means it's processing the flashing lights. There we go. And now it's printing. Let's see what comes out. So again, not a very high resolution camera or printer, but that is my little front part of my little office I've got. So yeah, it is working. Right, that's that one done. Happy days. Again, I've got other stuff to fix. I might skip the next Kodak camera because there's been a lot of Kodak recently. I might go straight up onto this next job lot. So we've got this. I don't know what you call these, but it's like a hub for your computer for your various inputs and outputs. HDMI, Type C, USB, Ethernet, you name it, it's got it. Apparently it doesn't work, not turning on. We've got this one to repair. We've got a DG Osmos Action Bluetooth remote controller, faulty. that's all we got. I don't know if you actually need the device it's controlling to test this. No idea. We've got this as well. We've got a Nokia phone, not powering on. We've got a Birdemic, I don't know how you say that, Birdemic space personal speakerphone, not turning on. Then we've got this, a 8 amp smart battery charger and maintainer, faulty. So got that to repair as well. In all the devices so far come with a box apart from that Dell interface hub thing. And we also got this, a Clockwood DAB radio, wireless audio, CD player, thingy majiggy jiggy jiggy, not turning on. So we've got a number of products to fix on this other job lot we've got. So yeah, I'll probably start this one on the next video, and then we'll come back to this one, this other Kodak Printomatic camera on another video in the future for the £8 job lot. This is the last one of the £8 job lot, but again, it's we've just done this one. We've done a Kodak before that one and a Kodak before that one, so you know, I'll give you guys a break on these, and we'll go to this next job lot. And yeah, right, well, okay, let's see you on the next one. Bye bye. Just go in the bloody connector. It's pretty simple compared to the one I previously I can't speak today. Oh, hell. So while I'm curing this, if you want, I can also cure you with any ailments. So there you go. You're healed, whoever's watching this video. Oh, Mr. Cable. Mr. Cable, will you go back into your connector, or I will be forced to use reasonable force to get you back in.